Tonight I'm going to start my new project, turning this old crappy snowblower into a stump grinder. I pulled this thing out of the trash, and tonight's project is going to see if I can get it to run. And it looks like at some point somebody at least thought it was worth fixing. You can see it has what looks like a new plug wire on here, so I'm sure it's got a new coil down in there. So we're going to tear it apart, clean it up a little bit, and at the very least, we're going to remove everything from this line right here forward. That's all going to go away, and we'll just go about getting this ready to turn into a stump grinder, stripping it down and such. But first, let's see if we can't get it to run. Well, if you can hear that hissing, that's air leaking past the exhaust valve. I'm pressurizing it through the spark plug hole, and also we've got air leaking into the crankcase. It only had like 40 psi of compression. It sure felt like more than that when I was pulling it over, when I picked it up off the curb. However, you know, it was kind of turning all the belts and all that crap over too. So I don't know, it's a 10-horse motor. I think it's worth throwing a little bit of money into it because, you know, it's probably gonna be cheaper to fix this than to buy a new one, for sure. I don't know, I'll have to think on that. This here could just be a sticky valve. We could get access to the valves and look at that and see how it actually looks in there. As far as air coming into the crankcase, that's gonna be piston ring. So maybe tomorrow we'll go a little more in depth, pull the head off and look down in there and see what it looks like. I don't know, maybe this project will just be tabled. Either way, I'll get back and show you what's going on with this one. But for right now, I think I'm going to call it a night. Well, it's the next night, and I came out this afternoon and I stripped down the snowblower. I got rid of the whole front half, pulled the motor off, and decided I'd put it in the shed and make that a project for later. I actually got a smoking deal on a brand new 10-horse Tecumseh. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to go ahead and get started on the cutter head because I've got all the parts for that already. And so what I'm going to be using here is this 8-inch disc. I bought it off eBay and it was only like 25 bucks shipped to my house. And I'm hoping you guys can see this right here. This is the exact center of the disc. I used this compass to do that. I measured the disc. It's 8 inches exactly like it's supposed to be. I set this at 4 inches and I just stuck it on the very edge of the disc and went back and forth. And I went 180 degrees off, did it again, just like that in 4 spots. And what that gives you is where they all meet right here in the center. That's the very center of the disc. So now I'm going to take my center punch and I'm going to put my hand right in front of the camera because I'm right-handed and I want to make sure this is centered. I'm going to say it's right there. There we go. We'll get the tape on there. Make sure it's exactly 4 inches. Knock some more stuff down while I'm getting the tape measure. Now that I've verified that my center punch is dead center in the plate, I'm going to make some more marks so that I can make some more holes to mount my cutter heads. So I'm going to split that punch pretty much dead smack center with this yardstick here. From this mark, I can go over and make other parallel or perpendicular marks to this and know that they're all square and a certain distance out from the center so everything's balanced. Because I went pretty overkill. I bought actual cutter heads for a stump grinder. Look how big these things are. So I've got, let me zoom it out more even. I've got 8 of these. 4 straight, and I've got 4 offset like this. If I hold them all in a line here, you can see all 4 of them. That these 2 are clearly wider and these are narrow. So as they're coming through in an arc, you're going to get a nice big wide swath and then a narrow one that takes out the center. And then behind that will be another wide one and another narrow one, spaced 90 degrees apart all the way around. Just like so. Then obviously I have 4 more of these for the other side. And then the cutter is actually this round disc thing here. So that just goes through there. And that's all there is to it. I bought this all off Bailey's. And these are green parts. Green was the name. I'll link all this stuff in the description if I remember. It's clearly actual stump grinding parts. And I feel like that's a little bit overkill. This plate is an 8-inch, half-inch diameter plate. I kind of want this thing to weigh as much as possible. So essentially it acts like a giant flywheel. Once I get this mass whipping around in a circle, nothing's going to stop it. Hopefully that works. I got a 10 horse motor to power it, so I think it's going to work out well. But let's get to laying out some more lines here and get some progress made. Okay, so now what I have just done is I used my square here to draw a second line, which is exactly 90 degrees to the original line. Both of them cross dead through the center. So from these two lines, I can establish exactly where I want to put all of these at. I've decided I want to put these 3 inches out from the center, 3 inches to the center of the bolt holes. So what I'm going to do now is measure out 3 inches from this line over here, 3 inches this way, and draw 2 more secondary lines. And I realize there's more precise ways you can do this and whatnot. This is what I have available, so this is how I'm doing it. I'm literally just going to square the end of this metal ruler up as best as I can by eye and draw a line at 3 inches. I'm going to come down here and do the same thing. Is this going to be exactly perfect? No. Is it going to wobble a little bit? Yes. Do I care? Not really. The goal is that this is going to be spinning somewhere between 2 and 2200 RPM. So you take that times 4 of these, you're talking about 8,000 impacts per minute. I'm not too worried about it being a little bit out of balance with it slamming into a stump 8,000 times a minute. So we've got our 2 marks, one here, one there, that are both 3 inches off of the first line. And it's tedious. I mean, this, like I said, it's not exact, no, but I'm getting as exact as I possibly can. So now, we've got a third line right here. So in theory, this should be completely parallel to the original line. I don't know if this is showing up in the camera, this line over here or not. But in theory, that's completely parallel. So we will measure the distance of this now to figure out the center here. And let's just say it's 2 inches. I'll come up off of this line, 1 inch this way, go down 1 inch, and I will mark the center of those holes, and that's where I'll drill the holes. And I will do the same process for all 4 of these. So I went ahead and marked the 2 first holes I'm going to drill. So I went ahead and marked the location of my first 2 holes over here. It ended up being 1 9/16 inches. Of course, it can't be 1.5 inches or 1 5/8 inches. It's got to be 1 9/16 inches. So I went ahead and drew another line over here, 3 inches off the center, 3 inches off the center, and I went back and measured. And from these 2 lines down here and up here, they're 6 inches apart, spot on. So so far it's working where this is parallel to this is parallel to this. It's all nice and square so far. And we're going to center punch the first hole, come up to the top at 1 inch and a half, 1 9/16 inches, and punch that one. Turn the plate 90 degrees and just start the process over. It's very simple. It just takes time and patience just measuring this all out. And then I'm going to go ahead and drill it. I'm not going to take you along for that because that's going to be even more tedious. So I just finished marking all 8 holes. And just for the fun of it, I went back and I measured from every hole on the perimeter here to the center punch hole. And all of them are within 1 millimeter. Because my little metal rule I've got here, it only goes down to 1/16. And they were all under a 1/16, and the other side of its millimeters, they were all either 79 or 80 millimeters from this center. So, like I said before, for me, that's beyond square enough. If one of these things is slamming into a stump 8,000 times a minute, I don't think I'm going to notice a little wobble from one of these being kicked off this way a millimeter. These are meant to be welded to a gear. You buy a sprocket that's the corresponding size, it will slip over this, and you weld it to this hub. What I'm doing is just using these to add more meat to the center disc here, plus they are keyed, so I can key my cutting wheel to the shaft. Now I bought 2 of these, so once I drill this 1 inch hole in the center, I'm going to set one of these on both sides of the plate. I'm going to run my 1 inch shaft all the way through this, and I'm going to weld it solid around the perimeter on both sides. which is going to give this thing a lot of lateral stability. It's not going to be trying to wobble. Nice and square on that shaft. And these things are stinking heavy. They're definitely overkill, but that's what I'm going for here, overkill. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and drill these 9 holes and weld these hubs on, and I'll bring you guys back when I'm done with that, but that'll be next time. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Stay tuned for more of this stump grinder build, and I'll see you in the next video.